Hello, I just want to do an impromptu demo on graphing as you're approaching this final portion of your FBA project. So I'm going to take some data here and I want to show you how to make this graph. Get rid of this. Okay, so you have your student data. In this example, the student's interfering behavior was being off task and non-compliant. So the data collected was partial interval data over 9 5-minute intervals, and the student was actually okay. All right, off task 33% of the intervals on day 1, 44% of the intervals on day 2, and 44% of the intervals on day 3. And the on-task behavior, which would be the desired behavior, was taken straight from the data collection of the partial interval. So any full 5 minutes that the student was on task, he didn't get marked as being off task. So we have that data already. So for 6 of the 9 intervals here, the student was completely on task. So we can say an estimated duration for that 45 minutes was 30 minutes on task. And then 5 of the 9 intervals, the student was on task during these 2 last sessions. So we have 25 estimated minutes of on task. So we have some data here we can graph. We have to put this in 2 different graphs because it's really 2 different presentations of data in terms of minutes and percentage of intervals. So here's how we're going to graph this. We could just graph the 3 points, but we know we're going to have some upcoming intervention data. So let's go ahead and say we're going to take data for 10 sessions and highlight 10 cells. Whoop, we got to go one more cell. Highlight 10 cells. All right. And now, let's see if I move my screen up here. I'm going to insert my graph. So I'm going to click Insert. And like I've said before, I prefer the scatter. I'm going to select the one that has the lines. Okay, so I've got my graph here. And I'm going to say just design features. I don't want these grid lines. They're distracting to me. But I do want axis titles. And that's going to be a good starting point for me here. So I want to change my axis titles to say what I want them to say. And so for this, I want it to say % of intervals off task. And I want down this axis to be my days. Okay. And my chart title here is going to be, well, we'll say student in science. All right. Or behavior in science, maybe. Okay. We got problems. First of all, it's a %, so I want it to go to 100. So I'm going to click to highlight the range here, and I'm going to right click to format axis. Move my floating head, and I want my units, I want my bounds to be from 0 to 1 because 100% would be 1 and not instead of 5. So I'm going to change this to 1, and I'm going to get from 0 to 100%. And I like tick marks. Call me crazy. So I'm going to select some tick marks outside. All right, that looks better already. We can move this if we want. Why is it down there? And this I want each day. So I'm going to click to highlight, and then I'm going to right click and format the axis. And I'm going to say I want just my units to be 1. And I like those tick marks. Helps me see. Okay, so hey, doesn't that look a lot better? You know what else we can do? We can also insert a shape and make a line. And draw a line right here between 3 and 4 because that's where my intervention data are going to start. And as I get my intervention data, and this student is perfect, by the way, so he goes completely off on task. Bad day, back on task. Okay, so I have intervention data, but oops, we don't want this line to cross here because it's a new condition. So I'm going to click here twice, and it highlights just that data point. And I'm going to click the bucket here on my format, click no line. It's gone. beautiful. So I can highlight this, right click, whoop, and copy, and I can paste that right into my report. All right. So we have this graph. Let's look here. We'll do it again. Estimated duration on task. Let's highlight 10 days. We're going to insert a scatter plot with lines, and we're going to take out those grid lines, and we're going to add axis titles. We'll type that in. Just click it to highlight it to type it in, and we can change this by highlighting it, formatting it. The major units are 1. Maybe tick marks. Okay, so better. Remember, we can insert a shape, get a line, move it where I want it. I want to change these later. And when I want to hypothesize my data, I think that the estimated duration on task is going to go up, right? Because he's not off task, so. Wait, it's only a 45-minute class, so let's say he goes 45 minutes. Nobody's perfect. All right, and then remember, we click this once, click it twice. It makes just that one point highlighted. Format data point, bucket, no line. Highlight the whole graph by clicking the outer edges, right click, copy, paste that right into our Word document. Control V. Over there. It's right there. All right, I hope this helps.